What's up,
Okay.
guys? It's August 30. We have like 5 or 6 days left to draft. BBM is going to fill today. As you can see, the slow draft hell is almost over. Clock's shortened to 1 hour yesterday. So if you still are in slow drafts, then you probably know that. But BBM is at 97% full. Less than 20,000 entries to go. I'm going to get one in here with Ken. Ken, how we doing? We haven't seen you all off season.
I know. We're just getting to the hang of things. First one of the summer, and last weekend before football starts. So nothing better than to be here on a Friday afternoon to be with you inside here drafting best ball mania. I say jokingly, but I'm not happy to be on and just wanted to say I appreciate like all the work you've done over the summer and you and Chris and whoever and everybody else has been here grinding best ball. So yeah, good job on all the stuff you've done over the past year for sure.
My man, appreciate you. We definitely missed you having on the shows this summer. I have to say, you're a pretty entertaining person to have have on shows with me. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of your takes on just changes from this year versus last year and whatever else is going on. I do want to mention they dropped the Golden Four single entry $10. It's already half full, and this has been open for like 5 hours or something. And then the Hound Dog Three $6 5 entry max. So once BBM fills, I'm sure these will fill up tonight. They did drop a whole charcuterie board of week one battle royale contest. The Dog Bowl is back this year. Top three get to go to Dallas, it looks like, this year for a live final. And then basically every price point you can want for battle royales. We will be streaming those on this channel after today, after BBM is done, once we dive into week one a little bit more. But Ken and I are going to get into a BBM right now. Let's see, one of the last BBMs of the season. Filled instantly, of course. It's going to go quick. Like, there's 20,000 entrants left to go. This has to fill by dinner time. I think it's just going to pick up the pace because it's got like, I want to say in the last 12 hours, maybe 12,000 entrants. So it's definitely going to fill soon.
Yeah, I think it's to me it's actually impressive that they can get it to fill or they've got good timing. I think you mentioned last year that it filled like right the day before
I think the
or,
day
or
of
whatever.
even.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty. I don't know who they've got running the numbers, but in March I don't think I could come up with something like that to see how many slots they go. But yeah, it's good they had to go right till August 30th. I don't like you don't want it to fill. It's like August 1st, and then you got to open another one. So
I wonder if they're even a little disappointed it filled this early. I mean, they do have some overlay on the sprint and the marathon. I think the marathon catches up. I'm not sure if the sprint will due to the $50 price point, but maybe we get another large field puppy. We'll see. I mean, we know they're going to drop small contests hopefully every day this week, so we'll get some other stuff. But like the big drafting, we're wrapping up today, and we do have Shady Advice in here, who I'm not super familiar. I think you probably are more familiar with him, but I understand he's probably one of the better fantasy players out there.
yeah, I've seen him on Twitter a couple times. He's got a couple big wins. So once you see one of those guys, we should probably be worried. But hopefully we'll snipe some picks or something.
Yeah, interested to see what he does out of the 10 hold. 10 through 12 spots this year are just so brutal. Pretty happy to get number 7, basically guaranteed to get one of the top 7 guys. So we'll see. Do you have any hot takes on maybe the order of the guys in the first round?
Yeah, this is funny because one of the reasons I want to jump on, I've got my home league draft today, and I'm drafting second. And I said if I were to draft first, I think I like CD more than McCaffrey in the home league just because I am a bit concerned about McCaffrey's workload and they want to hold it back where it feels like CD's is kind of ramping up and they're gonna give him similar amount of targets they did last year. So that's probably my hottest take. I've got CD ahead of CMC, but for these other ones, I mean, all these stud receivers and running backs. Yeah, I don't really know. It feels like you really go with anyone to pick. What are you thinking here at the 7 spotter?
Well, most of the summer I've just been going by ADP. Until recently, I'm kind of fading Jamar a little bit hard unless he falls to like 7 or 8. I probably would have grabbed him right there if he was there. When I'm in this spot, I'm not really in on Bijan, so I'm typically just going for whatever receiver is left or Brees Hall. Unless you have a strong take on Bijan over Amon Ra here.
No, I like Amon Ra, and I know you can do running backs early, which is something I did look at. Where if you go one stud running back early, then you can really go heavy on the receivers. But I mean, I think Amon Ra set up for a good year, and they got Goff, and the whole offense is going to be good again. So I'm a bit skeptical on Bijan just
Same.
because the Falcons offense, where it feels like everyone is being drafted as peak, like Bijan, top seven, and Drake London's top 15, and it's a reminder that like their quarterback is a 36-year-old coming off an Achilles injury, so I don't know if they're going to be as good as where they're currently being drafted.
Yeah, it took me so for most of the summer I was pretty out on Atlanta, especially Drake London, how early he was going. And then I listened to I don't know, one of the YouTube guys like really break down the offense and like these are the amount of pass attempts we're expecting the offense to increase by with Kirk Cousins. And if we, assign a similar target share to Drake London, he was, one of the top target earners in the NFL potentially, but I still have trouble getting there. And like you said, Kirk Cousins coming off a major injury, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, and I see Shady Advice just went Nico Collins, which is a very interesting. I've got some hot takes on the Houston offense. They're being drafted at what I would say the peak too, but I don't know if it's wrong. But I think with three wide receivers, it's not like the Drake London situation where if he's the main guy, he's going to get all the share. But if you draft Collins here and maybe he gets some of his workload eaten up by Tank Dell or Stephon Diggs, I mean, that could be a cause for concern, especially if you pick him early.
Should we go Drake London here, or you want to go Devon A. Chain? Unless you're in on Saquon, I'll take Saquon if you want him. Cooper Cup, Chris Olave.
Yeah, I'm in on Saquon. I think the Eagles are going to be very good again, and they've got. I mean, they've got a good offense, and it's a running back, and we saw how many times Swift got tackled at the 1 yard line just so Hurts could get in there. But I'm in on Saquon. I think he's still got the legs, and he's going to score. So
Okay. Up to this point, Saquon is my least exposed player in round two, so happy to get an exposure in BBM.
yeah, I mean it's a controversial one because I mean it's running backs and I know there's stuff like, oh, they don't matter, but I think if you put Saquon on a good team and just from volume alone, that he could probably get there for us.
Well, I'm looking at that 2v2 you're kind of talking about too, where let's say we went Bijan first round and we would have ended up with probably Drake London, I guess, here. And I'm not in on Saquon that much, but this feels way better than Bijan and Drake London would.
Yeah, I mean, and you've got to if you start Atlanta early, you got to trick yourself into Kyle Pitts again, which is not a good thing. I mean, but yeah, lots of two v twos ago. I'm also in on Achan from Miami. I know he's very high risk, boomer bust. So what do you think about him?
I'm pretty sure I'm underweight in regular formats, but in weekly winners, he was my highest exposed second round pick. I have like 24% of him over there or something like that. Because I mean, in that format, we're trying to beat 150,000 lineups in a single week, spike week. And it's like, it's kind of backwards, I think, because I'm so in on him having that single game upside. So I think I should be a little bit more in on him in this BBM playoff format because if he has a couple spike weeks, even if he has a few weeks at zero, we're drafting six running backs anyway.
Yeah, I hear you. That makes a lot of sense for me. I also would like Chen in more of a single week format where you only need a really a boom week, more than a full season, I would say. But
Mhm.
I mean, he's electric. So if you get like a couple of very good single weeks and hope it's in the playoffs, then he could probably help you definitely win your leagues or something like that.
What do you think about Kyron lately? You have any thoughts on him with the comments that he's going to be returning punts?
Dude, I can't even believe like what we're doing here.
Are we taking
And
him?
well, no, I would not. Just take someone else. But I'll continue my Kyron rant. Is that they're gonna have him return punts? I mean, he's like one of your three usable players on offense. But it does signal that they do want to reduce his workload, or they don't think he can be a three down back. And I know Blake Corum, and I think they've got another that they would definitely like to mix in. So, I mean, I think Blake Corum could be an interesting pick down the road, but also the Rams are very thin, and if injuries get to the wrong people, the season could really go off the rails.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just you know, is he going to return punch the whole season? If he stays healthy and returns punch the whole season, that's not a bad thing. The main thing is staying healthy, though. And with the new rules, maybe he's at less risk of an injury. I mean, it is getting hit more, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think punts is really even an issue, but when you say something like that, it's more like we really want to reduce his workload and save him for down the stretch, which could be a good thing for best ball if you can survive early on. You know, maybe he gets whatever 10 touches weeks one through eight, but gets like double that or even more during the playoff week. So it's definitely an interesting situation what they want to do with him.
And we did get Brian in the chat letting us know that Shady was top 3 in BBM last year. He just won the DraftKings Baseball World Classic. That sounds familiar. And he sims best ball. So he's probably one of the sharper guys in the entire in the entire pool. We went Nico, Stefan, Josh Allen. I don't hate it. Josh Allen with the Garrett Wilson week 17 correlation. I went with Tank Dell in the last pick. I know you said you were down on Houston, but I like him more than basically everyone else there. Do you have any? I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, 9 picks past ADP. I'm pretty out on him, but Amari Cooper's here, George Pickens, McLaurin, Travis Kelsey.
Man, this is a tough situation. I mean, whoever you like, I would just go, but this is a tough one. I'm not in love with any of the guys here, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean, if I didn't have Saquon, I for sure would have went with Pacheco because I'm a little bit low on him, and he was one of the risers. So getting him at pick 42 would have been pretty significant here. But I think Amari Cooper's still better than having a second running back this early.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And actually, I think Pacheco at this ADP is a bit overvalued to me, which I think he's being drafted as peak, or at where his peak should be there.
Yeah, once he passed Travis Etienne, that was kind of the line for me. I mean, Etienne went before him here, and I mean, Pacheco's, I don't think I've seen him fall this hard in a long time, but he was down here at like the 4 or 5 turn, and he's just been slowly creeping up. We got word from Andy Reid. They expect him to be a 3 down back, but now they signed Samaje Perine, who. So I made a comment yesterday on stream about how many catches that Jerick McKinnon had last year. He actually only had 25, but that's still pretty significant because he's not just in the field for 25 snaps, right? And so how much of that workload is Samaje actually going to take away from Pacheco at this point in his career?
Yeah, I totally agree. Just from, I mean, just signing P Ryan, and if he like even fills like half of the McKinnon role, it would be frustrating for Pacheco owners who this is also half PPR, so I don't think Pacheco he's not one like the bigger pass catchers, which like punishes Pacheco and maybe like a Derrick Henry as well. So I mean, you really want to stack those points up in the passing game too. So if they only use him as 2 downs and they take him out on 3rd downs, I think it's probably a bit too early for Pacheco there.
Yeah, it seems like way too early, right? Because I was going to ask you, how would you feel about him versus guys like James Cook and Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, I mean James Cook is this is a similar range. He's probably up a bit more from where he was last year. But I mean, it's like Josh Allen vultures the touchdowns, and James Cook doesn't really strike you as a running back that gets like if they're inside the 5 yard line, they're gonna hand it off to him. It's like no, not really. They've got Damian Harris or whoever else they signed, Latavius Murray or whatever. So that's a tough one too. But he could be explosive in the running game. I think similar to Achan, he's probably maybe a bit better in like weekly formats, like a single game or whatever. He's got probably more boom potential there.
Yeah, I agree. His number of touchdowns last year was so low. 2 rushing touchdowns is not going to cut it at all. He had 4 receiving, which is awesome, but it's not enough. Do you have any takes here? Because again, I don't have a lean on anyone here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Jacobs here if you
Okay,
don't
let's
mind
do
running
it.
back. Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in getting him past ADP with Marshawn Lloyd starting the year on the IR. We have what's the guy's name, Emmanuel Wilson as the backup. Now, the reason that I was kind of out on Jacobs was because I thought that Green Bay has for a time run a timeshare always with running back, and so I never thought he'd be a workhorse. Do you feel differently?
No, I do agree with that, but I now that AJ Dillon, they don't got
Right, right.
LaFleur's favorite player available to him, and but I think Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs are kind of different into where we've seen Jacobs do more of a three down back role, and he's shown he can do it, and if Green Bay likes it enough, but like I could see him getting more touches than what they did before in the Aaron Jones AJ Dillon timeshare there.
So his ADP is 46. I'm pretty happy to get him at 55. You think that's probably correct for Josh Jacobs, or is he even a value at 46?
I think 46 is probably pretty close to where he should be, and I know he's probably spiked up a bit with the Dillon news and Lloyd being on IR, which I'm not too worried about either about Lloyd because it's not like they drafted him second overall, so there's not much pedigree there for me. But yeah, I think getting Jacobs past ADP was fine there.
Nah, Brian, not in love with anyone in round four. Welcome to Best Ball 2024, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at these guys and they've all got question marks, but that makes sense to see why they're in round four.
Kind of feels like everyone, even in round two, is kind of like a round too expensive. I feel like we're missing a round of quality players here somewhere.
Yeah, there is a does look like a drop off in those guys, and I see a couple of the Bears receivers are going off, and I was going to mention that where in preseason, I know it doesn't mean much, but just seeing Caleb Williams, and it does look like he's got the juice. I know last year I saw Zay Flowers play like a snap of preseason, and I was in. So I think this year it's probably Caleb Williams for me.
Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson, Brian Thomas could go down to JSN also.
Yeah, I'm a Seahawk homer, so that's who I like JSN this year for sure. But I mean, if you want someone to, I'm not in love with Godwin, Deontay, or Brian Thomas.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
JSN's a guy. I put Metcalf on the cover today for you. I don't know if you noticed, but
I did. Yeah,
JSN is a guy that I've been trying to consciously add more of, and maybe more so on the other sites. He's going past ADP. Like he's like a full round past this on the other sites, where I think he's a great value. I did want to talk about Chicago before we get back to Chicago or to Seattle, but I mean, do you have thoughts on? I don't know if I've ever seen Roma Dunze go before Keenan Allen. You mentioned you love Keenan Allen, or I'm sorry, you mentioned you love Caleb Williams, so you're pretty in on this offense overall.
yeah. I mean, I like it. I think if they do enough trailing game scripts, I like Caleb Williams. It's hard to decipher where all the wide receivers are because it turns out that Keenan Allen is like 300 pounds now or whatever. So maybe he just quit on the year. But it also like Roma Dunze is like a rookie. You're not really sure what kind of production you get out of that. So if I had to pick one, I think he's the earliest one going, but DJ Moore is probably still the solid one for me. But I am in the Bears offense, maybe from an NFL perspective, but it's probably a bit tougher in best ball, where you don't want guys eating into each other. What do you think about him?
I love him. I still have question marks about Caleb Williams, but if he's half as good as it seems like everyone else thinks he is, then I'm probably okay. I'm drafting a ton of Chicago, not drafting as much Caleb Williams, which might be a slight mistake. But I'm on the same page as you with DJ Moore. He's absolutely my favorite receiver on this team by quite a bit, and I do love the value on Keenan Allen down here. I'm scooping him when he goes this late.
Yeah, if he's I mean, it was like one report that said he was overweight, but if he's fit, I mean, we've seen him do it before, like 10 catches a game or 11 catches. And now that he's running with even better receivers, he's not the main option, probably easier coverage. So he can definitely do it down here as well.
And so I still want to talk about Seattle, but if CJ Stroud were to make it back to us at pick 79, would you be interested in taking him there?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm in on Stroud. This is, I mean, maybe they're trending to be like most weapons, one of the best offenses, really we've seen in a while. So
Yeah, I made that claim. I can't think of a better 1, 2, 3 than that anyone's ever had.
Well, up in the Pacific Northwest, we've got DK JSN Tyler Lockett. So I wouldn't, I
Right.
wouldn't be too so quick. But
You're
yeah, I
right.
mean,
You're
on to
right.
Seattle. I think these people are down on us all year. We've got we got rid of the old guy at the head coach. We got an actual guy. He's got the defense, and we're gonna man ball, and we got a bunch of rookies, and we got all the dead weight rid of. And I mean, it's a great receiver group. So I'm up on Seattle this year. Let's get more of them.
So DK Metcalf goes. He went at 25 here. I mean, this is basically you could flip a coin on any of these guys, but I feel pretty good about taking DK Metcalf in this range. And last year I did not at all. Here, let's
Yeah,
actually
it
just
was kind of like a proof to see. The weird thing about Seattle is they really the similar ADP as last year, but like I mean JSM was like kind of 60s 70s as well last year, but I don't think we saw anything his rookie season that said he's bad. Like I think he's really good. So the fact that we're getting him a kind of similar position this year, I think was a steal for us for sure.
So, how much of your feelings about JSN are that he's going to overtake Tyler Lockett based on skill versus I don't know if Tyler Lockett's been dealing with an injury, but what's the path to JSN getting on the field more?
Yeah, I know. I mean that is a concern, but I do think and you do always kind of think that Tyler Lockett might take a step back just because he's getting older and he's hit that age where you do see a more of a drop off. So, I mean, I think JSN is just like really freaking talented, and he'll take over based on skill, not based on injury or anything. But like I do think JSN is probably a better receiver than Lockett at this point. But I wouldn't be shocked if Lockett just comes in and has another great season, which could be frustrating for JSN backers.
Definitely, and we're getting Lockett. I mean, his ADP is falling too. I want to say he's around 120 now. Tyler Lockett, ADP 117. I mean, that feels like a pretty good value. I'm only at 10%, so I guess I'm getting a little bearish on him too, but see how that
Yeah, I
goes.
mean, if he keeps sliding down there, it might be a good idea to take Lockett. And yeah, but I don't know. It's hard to say about Lockett because when he does play, he slides early, tries not to get injured, so he's very mindful of like,
Exactly.
hopefully in freaking week four it doesn't retire at halftime or whatever. But
You have a
which which
do you have a lean here for this next pick? I mean,
oh, I've
the
got
receivers are rough, but
yeah, it might be running back or I don't like any of these guys.
I'm gonna take
Tight
Tony
end
Pollard
Pollard,
then.
I like Pollard.
My favorite guy, number one ranked PFF running back after week 10 last year.
Okay, I'm in on that, but yeah, Pollard should be. I mean, he's the main guy in the Tennessee offense, right? So,
I hope so. Taze's there, but I don't believe in it.
okay. Spears they still got in the backfield there, who did show some juice, but we do have to hope that Pollard. I mean, Pollard I think is fine, and I think Tennessee maybe a bit underrated by guys. I know people are high on maybe Levis bouncing back, and he can sling the ball. He's not, it's probably not going to be great, but he has an arm enough to throw the ball and keep them in games at least.
I mean, he had one super spike week last year, if I'm not mistaken. The rest of the games were definitely way below average, but the one spike week he had was pretty good. And I mean, that's a lot of the thesis on a lot of these late guys I'm drafting. Can the quarterback throw the ball far, and can you run in a straight line really fast?
Yeah, I mean that's why I mean all these guys went early, and Bo Nix is probably neither of those things, but the Broncos are doing whatever they want to do over there. So, but yes, that that is what kind you're looking for in a quarterback. It feels like everyone wants to replicate like the Josh Allen thing where they if they got enough upside and a big arm that you can kind of teach these things, but it might be difficult. I don't know if you're drafting Broncos, but Bo Nix I do have concerns about.
I'm drafting a lot. I'm really interested in the running back room for the Broncos more than anything. And I do feel like I want to add a little more Bo Nix. I have 4% right now. I'm not high on him, but I don't think I was high on CJ Stroud last summer either. Not to say that Bo Nix is in anywhere close to the as good of a situation as CJ Stroud was in his rookie season. But very in on Jaleel McLaughlin and then Audric Estime as well. Do you have thoughts on this running back room specifically?
Yes, I do know McLaughlin did show up a bit preseason, and if I'm not mistaken, he was there last year as well.
Mhm.
So he did play well. I also did watch Estimate, kind of like in college. I know he's in Notre Dame, and he just reminds me of just like an AJ Dillon type, where like I mean, it's kind of like where you flip a coin. Is he gonna have a LeGarrette Blount 20 touchdown year, or is he gonna be like actually like AJ Dillon, get like 3 yards on 10 carries? So I don't think Estimate's good, but he's a big enough back where he could just fall in the end zone to make it worth it. So it's a interesting room.
I do think he gets touches most games, even with Javante healthy. But the thesis on him is just I think he gets the bulk of the touches if Javante goes down. Maybe that a few slide to Jaleel as well. But I just don't see Jaleel as the 1, 2, 3 down guy.
Yeah,
Let's
he does strike more as like maybe a smaller back, catching back third down kind of thing. So I mean,
any
it's a crowded room.
Curtis Samuel versus Shakir. Curtis Samuel's dealing with turf toe right now. There's not really another receiver I want to reach for here.
You don't like
Oh, we could go Romeo.
Romeo Dowds?
Yeah, get that team stack with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I don't mind a bit of Green Bay. I have read good things about Wicks. I don't know where Wicks is going, but if Wicks is going later in this, then
He's going
Dontavian Wicks
he's
could
going
be interesting.
111. To me, that's insanely early.
Okay, do you think so? I've seen like where he gets like a lot more separation than like any other receiver in like the league. So if he can do that, then
That's the thing. He has probably the highest, maybe not more than Christian Watson, but other than Christian Watson, he probably has the highest potential on this team, right? Just to have game breaking weeks. But he's the fourth Green Bay receiver off the board, fifth Green Bay player overall, not including Jordan Love. I mean, I'm at 3%. I just think it got too high. I wish I'd grabbed more before his ADP climbed, but I don't know how much of this was just hype from a few guys tweeting about him.
yeah, I see what you mean there. I also do think 112 is probably better. I figured he would be later, maybe 150 ish range, but I guess he's really shot up there.
I mean, but you like this Green Bay offense overall.
Yeah, I don't. I think Jordan Love's got he's a live quarterback and good arm, and they're going to be in a division where they're going to have to score because it's Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, very good teams. Also, like, how much are you factoring in like schedules or like opponents in division, or what are you doing with that?
Uh, I'm not thinking about it too much. I do know that this is one of my favorite playoff schedules, though. Seattle, Minnesota, New Orleans are usually able to fill that out pretty easy. So I don't know if they play any of these guys twice, but I have a bunch of game stacks for those guys for the playoffs. Um, Jacoby Myers could have taken Dontavion here. Jacoby, you
Yeah,
mentioned Blake Corum earlier.
I like Jacoby.
Adonai
I
Mitchell.
don't mind. I mean, they're all. That's really dart throws for me. It looks like.
Yeah, it's getting. It's like I'm okay with a bunch of these guys. I don't. I like Jacoby, I guess, but other than that, and then before we move off Green Bay, Luke Musgrave versus Tucker Kraft.
Well, I've heard some good things about Tucker Kraft. I know
Mhm.
he's being the second tight end drafted, so if you can get him in like a round 18 or something, and I mean it's one to consider for sure.
I've been tacking on him a lot at the end of a lot of tight end builds and kind of fading Musgrave, and then I'll mention Bo Melton way down here. Any thoughts on Bo Melton, their wide receiver 5?
Yeah, probably too thin for me. I know. I think he had a maybe appearance in a playoff game or something like that, but probably a bit too thin.
Okay, let's see where we are here. Quarterbacks falling a little bit. I mean, any
Are
players on
there?
the screen catch your eye you want to talk about?
Yeah. Well, I was wondering if there are like any offenses you'd be concerned about. like I was gonna mention like Cleveland and we had Amari Cooper earlier, but they've got such a good defense. Are you ever worried about that? They're like gonna try to play games of like 1916, and they all strike me as the type of offense I really want to sling it with Watson to try to get 30 points every game. So that could be concerning.
I like Amari Cooper, I like Njoku, and I like Jerome Ford all at ADP, and Deshaun's one of my higher exposed quarterbacks, but it's been really hard for me to click on him specifically lately because I'm kind of nervous that he's either not good or not healthy enough to play a full season. But overall, I like the players on the team. I'm scared of Deshaun Watson right now.
Yeah, for some of these teams, it's just so frustrating that they'll get to like the opponent's 20-yard line, then play for a field goal and try to win games like that on the back of their defense. I think Pittsburgh's probably another team in a similar situation like that. So
Yeah, Pittsburgh's scaring me too. They have no line, they have no quarterback. They got nothing. Do we like hitting Jared Goff here and just being done at quarterback, or you want to punt it a little bit later with like a Geno?
yeah, I don't mind punting quarterback.
Should we
What
go
do we
Dalton
have for skill position?
Schultz, Austin Eckler, Trey Benson, Jalen Polk, Gus Edwards, Zeke, Ty
Yeah, Polk.
Chandler?
I like Polk.
Let's do Polk. Don't have much of him.
I don't mind the New England offense, especially from what I've seen in preseason. I did like what I was seeing from Drake May. I do think, I mean, they're really being priced as kind of like the worst team in the league, but I don't think they're that bad. I think the defense has some juice, and last year actually the Texans were like projected to finish fourth in the division or whatever. Like they were really supposed to be bad, and I don't think anyone was expecting it from Stroud. I think, I mean, if you get a spike like that from May, then you found some gold there, especially where New England's being drafted.
So back to your last question about offenses, I'm iffy about. I've been talking smack about the Patriots on stream. Now I have a ton of Patriots exposure. I have exposure to almost all of them except Javon Baker and Jalen Polk. But I made a statement they could be historically bad as of, I don't know, a few days ago. They were projected to score the least points in the NFL by a couple touchdowns. Uh, can the offensive line protect Drake May? How long does it take for them to actually start him? But like I said, I'm drafting a bunch of their players, so I hope they don't suck, but I don't see how they don't.
Yeah, I mean, you hope it doesn't, but I mean, the Texans. I just keep referring back to them, but they had a skeptical O line, but if you get enough good quarterback play, really you can. And we're not even looking for that much, especially from where these guys are being drafted, right? So
Yeah, Ramondre's the first one off the board, and he goes basically in the 80s now. Jalen Polk is moving up. Then basically the rest of the receivers you can get for free.
yeah, I mean, I think I would be in on this. I mean, it's like an NFL team, Even at their worst, they're still projected to score maybe 14 two touchdowns a game, and they've got to go to someone. So I would be in on the Patriots in the later rounds for sure.
And then we had Zeke go off the board here. They did sign Dalvin Cook to the practice squad. People are high on Rico Dowdle. I don't think he's good at all on an NFL level. Not saying that Zeke is going to be efficient either, but we know that the team likes him, and so I think he's going to get the touches. You have a thought there?
Yeah, especially if Zeke is going here, I do like Zeke. I don't think there's much competition, and he does strike you as like the running back they want to feed inside the 5 yard line, so he can fall in for a couple touchdowns. And also in New England, he got mixed up in the passing game, so
Yeah.
I mean that's another plus. And Brandon Cook's another year older, and whoever the wide receiver three, if I mean Zeke is probably a better pass catcher than that. He can pass protect, so I'd be in on Zeke for sure.
So I think I'm going to take Dalton Schultz here since we do have CJ Stroud. I don't get the opportunity to do this much. Uh, since I asked that question about passing up on Goff to just get Geno Smith later, what's the difference? Goff's in a better offense, but fantasy wise, they're pretty dang similar.
Yeah, I think for quarterback, I mean, just by seeing some of the guys still left, like they still got some very live arms at the bottom here. But Goff is probably, he's probably got a bit more upside with all the weapons and how they like to run their offense. But I mean, I don't think it's enough to make up for that draft position gap for sure.
Yeah, that's something I'm going to be thinking about too. I mean, I'm with the field on basically every quarterback. I have 11% Gino. Nice. We
Yeah,
have
Gino in the chat here.
John Cotter. We got our Jets 13 guy, our most loyal viewer. Seattle has 6 players going ahead of Gino. Does that make Gino one of the most disrespected ADPs in best ball, or the rest of Seattle overdrafted?
Hey, I mean, I don't know how you think, but Gino, he can throw the ball, and I think he's probably being a bit disrespected if and sometimes QB scoring it doesn't you don't even have to be great QB, but if you got all the weapons, like if Seattle this is their true ADP for their skill position guys, then Gino should definitely be higher.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think Seattle's overpriced at all. But all the Seattle players feel pretty good where they are. What do you think? Like, are you worried at all about Gino getting benched for performance reasons for Sam Howell?
I mean, not necessarily because then the season would really be off the rails, and then um, I mean, there's always question marks about Gino just because he didn't have the pedigree or whatever, and he wasn't good on Jets. But I think we've seen enough from him for me to be able to trust him, and I'm just hoping if he stays healthy, he can play enough to make the team competitive.
I like it. Uh, Jaleel McLaughlin. This is actually the latest I've seen him go in the last couple of days. There's two people with large followings on Twitter that have been hyping him up, and I've seen him go in the 130s in almost every single draft I've done. McLaughlin.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if they're hoping he gets ends up being the number one role, but it is a crowded backfield and not a great team. So
You have thoughts here? J.K. Dobbins, Bucky Irving, Braylon Allen, Khalil Herbert,
maybe Leggett.
Jalen
Would you be
Leggett.
into Leggett or yeah?
No, he's actually one of my biggest fades, but I don't mind taking him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in Leggett just because he's probably the wide receiver two on a Carolina room, and if they show improvement, I mean, he's probably better than Adam Thielen. They did invest draft capital in him, so they are going to make sure he gets a playing time unless he's just like absolutely terrible. So I don't mind a bit of Leggett here.
So I'm not fully out on the Carolina offense. I guess Leggett's really the only one I'm not taking. 6% Bryce Young. I wouldn't mind having a little bit more. He could take a bit of a leap. It's just he was so bad last year. And then, excuse me, Thielen for me is a player where if I'm weak at wide receiver, I know I'm going to tack on a couple young guys at the end of the draft. Maybe Thielen can help bridge that gap at the beginning of the season until the young guys kick in later.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And just from following like the NFL so long, it's like to me, it's like really never as bad as it seems. It's never really as good as it seems. And I've kind of got that feeling about Bryce Young, where like kind of just like everything went wrong last year, and like
Mm-hmm.
O line was terrible, protection was terrible, but like I don't really think he's that bad as it what it seems. So if he can bounce back, then I think Carolina's still in play for sure.
Jordan Mason, pick 157. It's a little early. This is
Yeah, do you
the
have any? You got any Mason? Because I do know they got or Mitchell is injured, so it does seem he's probably the clear backup in that backfield.
Yeah, he's going to ADP 166. I have 1%. I wasn't taking him, and by the time it was confirmed, like because Mitchell is on IR, right? He's for sure done for the season. So I don't know. This is probably a player I should start adding a bit though. Him and there's a couple other. Well, we can get to zero RB guys if you're interested in any. I mean, do you like Ray Davis or Bucky Irving? I feel like we have to take a running back here. Oh, we could take
I
Gino right now.
mean,
Actually, make sure
yeah,
we get
maybe
him.
that.
Yeah, because not getting Gino would kind of mess this team up a bit.
Okay, well, to be honest, I couldn't even tell you what team Ray Davis played on.
Nice. He's James
I
Cook's
just
backup, presumed.
okay, I just found that out. Is he a bigger back? Because that's what you hope it would be. Because they like their guys like Damian Harris or Latavius Murray
To be
to get his.
fair, this is one of the guys I actually did not do due process on. I think I was just out on him from the beginning. Just him. I'm just not interested in Buffalo's RB2, I guess. I was last year, and I think that burned me really hard with Damian Harris. I don't know if that's driving me being out on Ray Davis, but I just don't see like I'm out on James Cook too. So
Yeah, I think it's safe to say I'm probably out on Ray Davis as well.
he's
But
5'8",
Irving,
220.
yeah, Irving was an interesting one to me because just from because kind of like when they drafted Rashad White as a rookie, and they really did use him. So Irving is good that they'll they won't be afraid to use Irving in a significant role as well. So
So with Tampa Bay, we got news that their rookie, I believe rookie center is really good. So it's a huge positive for their entire offense. And there's questions about if Rashad White can hold down the starting job the entire season. He's one of the most inefficient runners in the NFL, but I think he's also one of the best pass catching running backs in the NFL. So we'll have to see what they want to do. But Bucky Irving should have a role regardless of if Rashad White goes down or not.
yeah, it's a weird one because they uh they kind of want like when they had Fournette and Rashad White would be a pass catching back, but now they kind of want him to replace Fournette to be a two down back, and maybe Bucky Irving is also a smaller back again there for pass catching. So I'm not sure how they really built that. You do want a bigger back there, but yeah, Rashad White doesn't strike me as a three down back either, so that's why I don't mind a bit of Bucky Irving.
I was hoping to grab Noah Fant right there for that double stack. Any interest in Isaiah Likely?
Yes, dude. I mean, Baltimore, they don't have that many weapons, and it does be it does feel like it's possible they'll feature Isaiah Likely in their offense a bit more.
I'm of the belief that he plays alongside Mark Andrews a lot this season.
Yeah, what do you think about the Ravens themselves? I know they lost like a lot on the O line. Like maybe it might be four new starters or and two are rookies. So that's probably a bit concerning to me. But maybe it'll make them throw more and if they'll keep them in games that are closer.
I think Lamar is like just based on the value, he's going the fourth. I think he's probably the best elite QB to target here because we can still get one of the receivers in the fourth round. I'm iffy on Flowers, and I'm basically not taking Mark Andrews at all anymore. Not taking Derrick Henry, and so I'm out on their players, but I think they're good if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I just saw. I mean, Zay Flowers ADP is around 40. I think it's a bit too early because he's kind of like a perfect wide receiver too, but when you put him in a wide receiver one role, it does get kind of dicey there. And also this kind of like injury news with Mark Andrews. Maybe he was like in a car accident, so that's could be something as well. But yeah, I probably like likely the most if he's going back here.
And then we thinking we're adding. So I'm pretty sure we're done at quarterback. Do we want to add a third tight end since, or are we just going to ride thinking that likely is going to play every game?
I don't mind adding a third one. I see Sinat still up. That's one of the interesting ones from the Commanders. If they've got good offense, he could probably feature as well.
So this is a guy that I think Chris got me on really early in offseason. I was taking him at the end, like I'm taking Tucker Kraft now at the end of a lot of drafts, and then I got really scared off of him, and now kind of okay taking shots on him again. Just Zach Ertz is there, but Zach Ertz is the tight end whisperer. If you play behind Zach Ertz, you're probably going to be a stud, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, probably. I mean, freaking, I don't know why they've got 40-year-old Zach Ertz.
Took three tight ends with the same bye week. I don't think I've ever done this before, so I've never like worried about it. Do we just eat the 0 points in week 14 at tight end?
Yeah, I would probably just
I
eat.
think so.
That's
Yeah. I
that
mean,
kind of sucks. That's well, yeah.
this tight end room should be fine if the things that we're talking about come to fruition. We should still outscore other tight end rooms. So it's not that big of it. It does suck. It's in week 14. If this team is like close to advancing, and then we got like five or six, yeah, week 10s and week 14. We gotta get through those tough weeks.
That's very yeah. Survive in advance. But yeah, I wouldn't be too worried. It's not that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if Sanat is Trey McBride. It absolutely doesn't matter. We've got two picks left. We're done at tight end, so yeah, just tack on two running backs. So let's get gross here.
Okay, this is when you hit me with whatever guys you know about because I don't really know who's back at the end here.
I'm interested in Samaje Perine. Just if he gets the role that I'm hoping he does on Kansas City, I don't know how drafted he was in BBM. I can't imagine he was drafted in all of them. So maybe this could be a leverage piece if he ends up being like a smash.
Hey, whatever week Pacheco is chalk, or do you really need Pacheco in DFS? I mean, just lock in P Ryan for the two touchdowns, one catch, 1 yard, or whatever.
I like that. He's probably min price too. Not for
Yeah,
long.
I'm just just honestly most frustrating part was having McKinnon score from like the 3 yard line every time.
Yep. And we thought that was going to be over. It's not over.
Yeah, I think the reason Samaji gets to stick around on squads because he can pass protect, which is
Yeah.
probably beneficial if you're playing for Kansas City. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a good amount of snaps. So I do like him there.
Speaking of pass protect, the other team I wanted to ask your thoughts on was the Bengals. You have anything there?
I mean, it does feel like it sets up for a good bounce back here because
Mm-hmm.
they finished fourth place last year, so you do get a fourth place schedule and hopefully Burrow can stay healthy enough. And I mean Chase and Higgins, and they've got Zach Moss. I think is also very good at pass protection. So I mean I'm in on the Bengals. I did see Jermaine Burton. Some guys would be interested in him as maybe a rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year call. So that could be intriguing.
I've taken Jermaine Burton 6%, Yoshavas 1%. Probably want to try to even that out a little bit, but it's like, we know why we're going after the rookie because he could be anything. But Yoshavas wasn't terrible last season. And then you mentioned Zach Moss good in pass pro. I'm completely off Chase Brown. You like this take? Zach Moss over Brown.
I mean, it's a risky one, but it does feel like Chase Brown has been steamed up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we haven't seen anything from him, and they have. I feel like news articles I've seen they made it very clear that Zach Moss is RB1. So yeah, I like that.
And then I mentioned I'm fading Jamar. I guess I'm fading T. Higgins a little bit, but I'm coming around on him. I don't mind him. And I agree with you on the bounce back. If everything goes their way, they will win the division. If it doesn't, they're going to finish fourth again. So
Yeah, I think Burrow is probably a bit too talented for them not to have a good year. And the thing about Cincinnati is that their pass rate over expectation or whatever is that like they'll sling it a ton, which is great for fantasy purposes. So yeah, I do like Cincinnati this year for sure as a fantasy team.
well, thinking about Zach Moss too. I mean, what was the Bengals' check down rate? I mean, Joe Mixon's half of Joe Mixon's fantasy value just came from little little dump offs, right?
Yep, I mean
Madden,
he was being lined 4.5 catches a game. So
Madison, Cam Akers, Justice Hill, Emmanuel Wilson, Dylan Laube, Deontay Foreman, Eric Gray.
I don't know. These guys are all terrible. Whoever.
I took Madison. It just whatever. He's going to score 6 points a couple times. It's fine. I don't believe in Zamir White at all. So it should probably could be. We could take shots on Dylan Laube. Do you have any thoughts on this Raiders backfield?
Yeah, it's probably a good take to be skeptical on Zamir White. I'm probably a bit cold on him as well. And we have seen Madison kind of get significant work in Minnesota as well. So, I mean, if you've seen that, and it probably means you're doing something right, and you know coaches like you. So I don't mind Madison there. And the third guy, Dylan Labe, I mean I've never heard this guy, so I'm not sure what to expect from him.
I don't know anything about him either. Just new body could be anything. So we got a 2.583. Sorry, Chris. Pretty strong at running back though, so probably don't need a 6 one. I mean, the last two are kind of very scary, but the first three are really strong. I think. Love my quarterbacks. It's a pretty good receiver room, and I mean, messed up here, but tight end room is strong enough. I think we can overcome it.
Yeah, I mean you know, it's a good draft. You can't draft McCaffrey every round as you would like to, but sure. I mean, there's only a couple spots left, so definitely try to get in best ball manias.
Yeah, you have anything else you wanted to talk about or mention before we get out of here?
No, I don't. I mean, excited for the year, and maybe we'll hop on another one of these if we get maybe a couple more guys or see how that goes. But yeah, so a lot of fun to draft first one of the year for me. So definitely interesting.
Nice. Well, if you want to get more BBMs in today, it is going to close very soon. We're up to 97.2%. Didn't really get many entries in the last hour, but I'd be shocked if this wasn't filled by tonight. Not sure if I mentioned it, but even if you're an existing user, they actually have a deposit bonus today, 10%. I didn't see what the limit was, but I'm sure it'll tell you what it is. Wonder if it does say actually. Well, either way, and just in case you're not signed up for Underdog Fantasy, use the code Occupy2 when you're signing up. They'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. Oh, probably shouldn't have shown that on stream. Oops. First match your first deposit up to $1,000. So best promotion in fantasy sports. I think I'm going to try to come back later tonight, and I want to get into the very last lobby of BBM. So I'll see if I can make that happen. But Ken, thank you so much for joining me. This was a great show, one of my favorite of the whole summer. Always happy to hear your takes. So hopefully we'll take those takes and make good decisions in our last few drafts. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.